Welcome to 7 Degrees Funny Podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah. Normally I try to be like nice, but it's outdoors, so I'm wearing shorts. I'm
Yeah,
breaking
maybe
rules.
not. There's so many words on your shirt, but
Yeah, probably gonna wear it.
But then everyone puts these rules on comedy. I talk about this a lot, but everyone puts these rules on comedy, and you're like, oh,
there's only one real rule to comedy. It's be funny.
thank you. That's good.
Yeah. Well, so I've been doing comedy 6 years now, and anytime I run into somebody that's like, "This is a rule for comedy," they are not funny.
I find that true. Yes.
Yeah, because like the frustrating thing about comedy, the longer you do it, in my experience, some of the funniest human beings on the planet are nowhere near a mic and will never be near a mic in their lives.
They're typically at a bar and they're saying stuff under their breath.
Yeah. Well, no, there's also, it's just, there's just something about like a guy at work that's just like hates everything about life and then has just found like a coping method. And that person's never going to touch a microphone, but they're usually the funniest human being.
They really are.
Yeah. And so, but what I've just noticed about, there's no like rule to funny. Some things just don't make any sense. Some people, if you're funny when you're drunk, I'm going to tell you to drink. I'm probably a bad person on that. But if you're funny,
if it's a show,
if it's a show,
if it's a paid show,
yeah,
let's have our best performance.
Yeah. It's funny. Comedy's weird. I have like a weird experience because I got a lot more sober because of comedy. Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot less sober.
Yeah, so I've lost like 100+ pounds, and it's because I don't drink anymore, and I work out. I'm like a big health nut now. But I was doing comedy. I started comedy in Jacksonville, and
okay,
yeah, and there was this open mic that still operates out of like a dingy bar called Rain Ducks.
What's the scene like over there? Is it a lot of mics? Is it small?
Jacksonville's a weird city. So here's a culture thing about Jacksonville that's really weird. Jacksonville's the largest city by landmass in the contiguous United States.
Yes.
It's a weird fact, right? So if you go to Jacksonville, it's kind of surreal because it's basically like 10 different small towns kind of connected by this like really shitty highway system. So the thing about art scenes there, they're all massive but weirdly clicky. So they're big enough to have a click, but they're not big enough to operate. Everything in Jacksonville's like that. So like normally if you go to a college town, like the metalheads and like the alt music people, they'll kind of like band together and it'll be like cool. If you go to Gainesville or Tallahassee, right, or even here in Pensacola, it'll be like that. But
Mobile's got a real cool
yeah,
small scene, and it's picking up, and they got some talent coming up.
Oh yeah, they do. Well, but Jacksonville's really weird. It doesn't matter what type of art scene it is. When you go there, it's big enough to have like a click and to be fractured, but the click itself isn't big enough to operate on its own.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah. So it's been a while since I've been to the comedy scene, but there's a lot of really good comics in Jacksonville. Actually, I've worked with Jacksonville and Florida in general. Like if you do a lot of touring, a lot of Florida comics, because we do so many different style rooms, because the way Florida is set up, you can really just be like, all right, I'm going to be like doing old Christian room, and then I'm doing like like a redneck Coke bar, and then suddenly I'm in a gay room, and then suddenly I'm in a punk room.
Really?
Jacksonville has a really good, a lot of good comics come out of Jacksonville that I've
It's
worked
really
with.
like that along the whole Gulf Coast.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing about Florida in general. It's just that you can just step in anywhere and it's a different kind of audience.
Yes, and you really get to know like some things are really just funny anywhere, and then some things are just funny for certain groups,
Yeah.
And once you have that joke, that's like no matter who I say this to, you have to laugh at it.
Yeah, it's so funny for me. I do best with like coked out rednecks. Like rednecks love me, but that's because I grew up on like a farm.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh,
raised
really?
Yeah. I raised horses and cattle. So we raised American quarter horses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you know how to ride and everything,
Yeah,
dude. That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, my dad's like a cowboy from Montana.
My dad used to ride Broncos in the rodeo when he was younger, but that's as close as I've gotten to horses.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, actually. It's weird. I grew up around horses, and I knew 3 different people that died in horse-related accidents because they're big fucking animals.
They really are. They look like aliens to me. If we were put down here with another species from our, like, you hear the conspiracy, like we're the aliens.
Yeah.
I think horses were put
That's
down
South
here with
Park
us.
that did that. That's South Park that did
Did
that.
they say? Dude,
Yeah,
I got to
no.
see the episode. I've never seen
No,
it.
that's like years ago, like 20 years ago, is that Earth is actually a reality TV show, and all of the different
that's-
races are different alien species that they decided to put on one planet. Yeah, and that was terrible episode, but... yeah, no, you know what's like funny about horses? A lot of people think like the hind legs are like the dangerous part of the horse. That's not really the dangerous part of the horse. The front legs are the dangerous part.
Really?
Yeah, so like
Because they do that.
yeah, they do the boxy thing. But if you think about like the boxy thing, a horse is like 1,500 pounds, and that's just like a hoof is just a rock on like a muscle, and it's just coming down. Yeah, they can
It's like
crush
2
your,
steel rods just coming at you, hitting you in the fucking.
yeah, they can
wherever.
crush your fucking skull in so
Easily.
easy. Yeah, I grew up around horses and dogs and stuff. My dad's from Montana. I started comedy after I did the military shit, but I loved Jacksonville. Jacksonville's like, if anyone goes to Jacksonville, there's a couple of good comics out of there. There's like Chris Buck.
Chris Buck, okay.
Yeah. Chris Buck he's a road dog. He's just been doing comedy forever. And he's probably one of my favorite comics out of Jacksonville. He's a real strong writer. And then there's Brian Ziola. He was my roommate for a little bit. Brian Ziola is a good road dog comic. Like he's so like, it was so funny. I did a show where I was helping Olivia with the Club 27 shit. And you want to talk about like 5 degrees of funny. Like Brian Ziola is actually open for funny people, right? Like for me, I've opened for the people who've opened for people who opened for the famous people. No, I've opened for the people who've opened for famous people, but Brian's actually opened for famous people. So,
Really nice.
Yeah.
So he's one of those little connections.
Yeah. Well, Brian, Chris Buck. He's pretty much he's open for Dusty Slay a bunch.
Oh wow, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
My family's from like Dalton, Georgia, which is the carpet capital of the world and meth. It's like I got my GED when I was 16 there, and I think I had more teeth in my entire class.
Dude,
I was the top student too.
That's crazy.
And
you were the top student.
I was the top student
I
in my
did not-
GED class.
God, I hate something I hate about being a homosexual is sometimes I just say things and they sound so mean. Like I'm accidentally.
No, I'm surprised too. You know.
Okay. No, I was a nerd, so I was the smartest kid in my. Well, I was always the second smartest kid in my classroom, but I was a linguist in the military.
Who was the smartest?
So in middle school to the first half of high school, there was Dylan Harrison. Dylan Harrison was the actual pastor's son. He was so smart. I think he's like now involved in ministry now. We don't talk, but he was always smarter than me. And then in high school, there was there was like Alan Clemens was smarter than me, but I was always the second smartest person in a class. Like I did like honors classes and all that.
Always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I think that's why I was funny though. It's just because Oh, pardon. I love a burp. But, I think it's because I knew that I was always the person getting like a 96 on the test and somebody would get 100. And I would always get the 96. So I was like, well, you guys are smarter than me, but I can talk in front of people. So I'm not shy,
Yeah, they were nerds.
Yeah, they were nerds. So they couldn't, because I found out pretty quickly, this is just something I live my life by, and it's I'm crazy, but only homeless people care about reality. Only homeless people. Everybody else just cares about the feeling. So
What do you mean?
So you don't like there's a bunch of sayings about this. I forget what the original or like the origin of the quote is, but people don't really remember what you say. They remember how you make them feel.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Comedy's really weird because it's one of the only times people actually remember what you say. But yeah, people don't really pay attention to what you're saying 90% of the time. You can talk to somebody and how fast it is that if you take the time and effort to remember exactly what they said about their like family and life, how like they'll be blown away by that if you can like remember that. But I have like a super good memory, from
being the second smartest kid.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure I probably have like.
And you were a linguist, so you had to know how to study. You know how to.
Yeah, well, I'm an autodidact. I love to just like learn. I love to pick up a book and I love to learn. Oh, wait, that's one. Little one. Oh, she just wants to be part of it.
Oh, no, it's okay. You don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm an autodidact. I love to learn. So I love to like just pick up a book. I love to read about anything.
Nice.
And so
I love to learn. I love to like learn, but I'm not a good studier. Like if you give me something, I'm not good at like doing cue cards and stuff like that.
Well, so what I found is the thing for me is I had to learn Iranian, so I didn't know anything about it. When I joined the military, they make you take this like language test, which is like a fake language, and then they make you learn the language. But people always ask me how I learned it, and I tell people like if you really want to learn anything, there's like two tips. It is if you can be comfortable while feeling stupid, and if you can find a way to have fun with the thing. So I would get absolutely shit-faced. There was this hyper autistic girl that I worked with. She was a Navy girl. Her name was Rainwater, Seaman Rainwater. She was so autistic. She loved talking like a pirate. She was teaching herself Gaelic. She was one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. Absolutely insufferable.
In what ways?
Oh my God. Well, because she what people don't really understand about I love when people think I'm dumb, right? I love when people think I'm dumb, and I love being dumb because nobody expects anything out of you. When you're actually intelligent, the thing about intelligence is it is a hyper isolating experience. So she was an alien, right? She'd always had really high expectations. So really smart people get shoved into this awful nightmare where even though people automatically expect them to be hyper capable at like doing anything, but most people who are intelligent, because they're so intelligent, they're bad at communicating. So when you talk to really intelligent people, there's an irony there where they get really frustrated and they're kind of frustrating to work with. That's where the classic trope of a smart person with terrible social skills comes from, because they're so intelligent. Like dumbing down something is a different skill. Communicating is a different skill. I was a weird linguist because I was the dumb.
I think being around kids really helps.
Yeah.
To be able to dumb things down, because you have to break it down to what exactly you're asking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my sister works with kids. Kids like me for some reason. I think it's just because I'm like kind of a goofy goober.
Yeah, you kind of like a cartoon character.
Yeah, I am. I'm a little bit of a toon. I would love to. If I could be a cartoon, that's like my dream. Actually, I would love to like voice a cartoon.
I could see it.
Yeah,
Or hear it at least.
Yeah. But yeah. So
what would be your character?
Oh no. Okay, if I was a cartoon character, I would love to be. Did you ever watch Will and Grace? Okay,
I know
never
I know
mind.
the show. I know the
No,
show.
no.
But I don't know it
forget,
enough
like,
to.
Yeah, you're heterosexual, so I'm trying to figure out. Oh God, I'm gonna have to pray to the gods to figure this. Her name's Karen. She was just this drunk, absurd character.
The black-haired lady.
Yeah. So she had like the
real loud.
Yeah, she had the greatest quotes on that show. She could like. I'm sorry I was late, but I came exactly when I wanted to. Like I would love to be. Because one of the reasons I do comedy is just because I'm kind of autistic, and I always tell the truth, and nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I find people kind of want you to just tell them that everything they're doing is perfect and keep going.
Well, in a way, I think there's like. Right, I developed comedy because I was so bad at lying that I just wanted to be able to talk comfortably, So I just wanted to be able to tell people that they were ugly because I just,
just in the best way.
Just in the best way. Well, so because I don't. It's gotten worse since COVID, and I'm in a weird place because I'm more comfortable now. But I've just noticed that you can't tell people uncomfortable things anymore. Like you can't, it's weird. It seems like you can't tell people that they have something in their teeth anymore. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I was in Austin, Texas, and I had a guy, we were all military, and we went down to Austin, and we went out. One of our guys almost got into a fight because a guy told him nice shoes.
Like a sarcastic nice shoes?
I don't know how he said it.
He just said,
"Hey, those are some." He said he ran up to us saying, "Where'd y'all fucking go? Where'd you fucking go? That guy back there was trying to fucking fight me." I was like, "What? What happened?" He comes up to me and goes, "Hey, nice shoes." Yeah.
That's fucking. Well, so
then we were like, okay, this is gonna be early night.
This is one of my favorite things. So I do like this about being in the military. As a veteran, have you noticed my favorite thing about stand-up is that it has the only stand-up and the military allows you to have like radically diverging interest friend groups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like that's my favorite thing about comedy is you'll be hanging out with like a 60-year-old guy and then just like a 23-year-old mom in the same place. Like you
really find out that interests aren't as important as character.
Yeah, which I don't know. That's too gay for me. But no, the problem for veterans and comedians that I find sometimes I'll run into a vet. And I'll be like, oh, and we'll start talking. And I'm an Air Force guy, and I'm an Air Force intel guy, so obviously I think I'm better than everybody. But sometimes you'll link up with a veteran, and you'll be like, oh, this guy was cool, and then you'll find out real fast that they weren't cool. Because this is the worst part about being a veteran. I'm really. For job shit, I'm really lucky because I look like the narc veterans, but I am not a narc. And I hate because military people, they're two ways really. Like you're either like a narc or you're not a narc. And I wish there was like a middle ground.
I wish there was a way to figure it out quickly.
Yeah, because the narc veteran people are the worst fucking human beings on the planet.
They're really trying to squeeze into the leadership and get in good with them, and like they think that narking will get them ahead in their career, and it does, sadly.
Yeah, but this is the most surreal thing about the military, and not to get canceled by a bunch of conservatives or anything, but I was enlisted, and here's the thing: if you're gonna narc to get ahead in enlisted life, you are always middle management when you were enlisted. Where are your fucking dreams? Like, if you're like, I'm gonna narc so that I can become the regional manager of nothing,
Yes.
They don't like you have to do some crazy shit to be enlisted, and it's like so much harder for enlisted people to become famous in the military, and like just the amount of work just a narc to get to that where you're just like, wow, a real good middle manager, you know what I mean?
For real.
God, but yeah, that's weird. So did you meet that guy there?
No, he was with us in like training. We were doing training, and we were out in the middle of nowhere the whole time.
Where?
So we were in North Fort Hood.
Oh, God.
So it was out in the middle of nowhere, and so there was nobody. I don't know. It just something flipped in his brain. He switched when we went out, dude, and he turned into a whole nother person.
Well, it's called alcohol.
Maybe, but that was in the beginning of the night. We hadn't started.
Oh,
we
shit.
were literally just walking to the first bar.
That's insane. So no drink. You know, well, I will say this: like, the weirdest thing about being in the military, I never hung out with more people who had been molested as in the military. Like so many people, I meet so many people who were in the military that were like molested. Yeah, like
By who? By like their family or something,
just
or like in the military?
Well, okay, so you know this about me because you've hung out with me before. I have this ability that I can just make people talk about deep stuff very quickly, and I think it's because I have like a goofy voice and I have like cult leader eyes. You know what I mean, right?
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, because I just look at people and I ask them questions. But I know, because
You look like a convincing politician.
Thank you. Yeah. I hate you. Oh God, I could never be. I talk too much about my butthole and drug use to ever be a politician.
Actually, I think we need that.
Yeah,
we see like, some honesty, some transparency in government.
Yeah, I think that's actually like the worst thing about politics right now, because honestly, Joe Biden's so funny when he's just like, "Hey man, you guys are dumb." Like, when he's just like mad old man, it's so funny, dude. I made a joke about the debate last night. Honestly, I'm not going to watch the debate. If I want, I can go to a bus stop if I want to see two old guys on speed arguing.
I watched it, and I've never been more libertarian. I don't know. I just saw it. Obviously Trump won that debate very easily. Biden was rambling off into space at times.
I didn't watch it, so I don't have an opinion. But I saw some clips, and it's funny because Trump isn't funny anymore. Like I like he's just not funny.
I don't think people want it to be funny anymore. Is what it is. I think the election is now. Everyone's like, actually, we should probably be serious about this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? Let's talk about comedy. Because
you know what's crazy though, the debate had almost identical rules as my roast battle. So they had 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute like they just had like rebuttal, time to talk, time to. Did this, and I was like, "Wow,
this is just a roast battle."
This is a roast battle.
So
they cut off each other's mics. It was a roast battle.
God, yeah. I need to do more roast battles. I never really do roast battles because I don't know. I'm too mean. Like my thing is,
yeah. A lot of comedians say that to me whenever I like go to. I've been doing the roast battles for about 1.5 years now, and so I like go and ask people. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just too mean. I'm too mean." I'm like, that's the too mean, but you're also funny. Just make sure the joke isn't like.
No,
as long as you're making the audience laugh, that's what matters.
Well, yeah, no, it's just. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Lamar. I would think it would be so cool. Like Louis C.K. said, to bully someone so hard they kill themselves. Like that shit would make me feel like a wizard.
Really?
Yeah, like that would make me feel like a wizard. My problem, with words, as far as like just like insults and things, when I say things to hurt people with words, I mean to hurt people with words. Like I like playful. It's actually one of the hard parts about like gay dating for me. Like because even though I am gay, I have more gay friends now. Because it's a huge red flag. If you meet a gay man that doesn't have a lot of gay friends or even lesbian friends, major red flag.
Actually, I think I've have a lot more gay friends that don't have lesbian friends, and those are normally the better ones.
Well, so a gay man that doesn't have lesbian friends, I don't fuck with gay men that don't have a lesbian friend.
Really, what is it about that gay men that don't without lesbian friends?
So me personally, right? Lesbians, like, okay, do you know why it's LGBT? So this is queer history kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm going to make
Why is it LGBT?
So it used to be GLBT, but when the AIDS epidemic happened, a lot of gay men and their partners were basically separated, and they weren't allowed to see their partners dying in the hospitals. So lesbians stepped up, and lesbians literally would go into the hospitals. They would feed us soup. They would take care of us. Lesbians...
So they took the first letter. They were like, "Yo, we'll give y'all that first letter."
Gay men were like, "No, it's LGBT. We're putting lesbians first because lesbians really like stood there for us and were our primary advocates during the AIDS epidemic, which was a horrific time." You know,
interesting to hear. I assumed but how do you feel about the bees being in there?
The bees? Okay. I mean, I don't like the bees, but no. No, bees, I'm really proud of the bees. The hard part about...
Do you not feel like the L and the G kind of cover whatever the bee is feeling?
So the problem with bees, this is all personal. This is like... The problem with bees is I've dated enough bisexual men that I get burnt by that, you know? Part of it's my fault as well, but bisexuals always get the worst brunt of it. A lot of times what happens with bisexuals is if you talk to bisexuals, it'll end up being two bisexual people in a relationship with each other. And those two bisexuals get into a relationship with each other because bisexuals they're too gay to be straight, but they're too straight to be gay. And a lot of times bisexuals they call it bi erasure. A lot of times bisexuals get kind of mistreated by the queer community because and it's kind of wrong, but like for me, right, this is like just me talking about trauma and stuff, right? I'm gay. I can't help but be attracted to masculinity. So there's this kind of idea whenever I talk to bisexuals that if I walk into a room and that room's really like anti-queer, it doesn't like queer people, the bisexual person can just start demonstrating that they're attracted to women, and then like, oh, now I don't have an ally, and that's all bullshit, right? Okay. Like, so that's why the bees have like a rough time because they're too gay to be straight, so straight people don't really date them. Like women don't like bisexual men.
Yeah, because I feel I've met bisexual people and they're typically just in open relationships. They're always just wanting to go fuck the other part, whoever they're with. They're like, oh, now I'm with you, but we also have to do this too on the side. And
I don't believe in like the polyamory thing. I
don't either.
No,
anybody that's done it, it's like it's basically the beginning of the end of the relationship every time.
I'm a bad queer. I'm a bad gay person. No, I'm fine with open relationships. I support that. I just don't support the polyamory thing because every person I've ever met that does polyamory, it kind of makes them worse. Because you'd think having multiple partners would make you be more cognizant of your worst qualities. But I think what happens with polyamory, and I've seen this happen in every polyamorous relationship or every person I've known in a polyamorous relationship, it like amplifies the worst aspects of their personality.
You think they might get with someone that is the opposite of their partner who doesn't like those qualities, and they're like, hey, this person likes me for all the qualities they don't like me for.
No,
and they subconsciously seek that out. You might think.
Well, I think that's okay, right? Maybe because I read a lot of books. I do believe in love, and I think that you are supposed to care about other people. And I think the problem with most relationships right now is everybody like shops for the perfect relationship, and they're too demanding. But the problem with polyamory that I notice is that every healthy relationship I meet, I try to pay attention to patterns. Usually involves like people that kind of connect and fit each other. You know, I don't find like a lot of, every time I meet a relationship where both people are similar makes it they end up like having like a huge bad breakup.
Yes.
But polyamory, what I've noticed is that every person, their worst qualities get worse because they don't have to get any better. Because if the person that they're with can just recharge with a different partner. So
Yes.
right.
That's what
So I see this kind of weird like loop back of negative feedback in every polyamorous relationship I've ever noticed is they'll do this thing where they'll be super obnoxious and terrible, and then their polyamorous partner will just take all that energy, and then it just is this like suffering machine, and they'll take it to another person and they'll recharge, and it's like, yeah, I've never really seen it. It's not saying that it can't happen. I've just noticed
there's always
I've just noticed it's a suffering machine, so I don't want to be a part of the suffering machine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too. They're just recharging what the other person doesn't give them, so they're never really looking at their self as like, hey, maybe I could change too in this situation.
Yeah.
They're not sitting in it. But dude, this has been a good episode. This has been 30 minutes. This is
shit!
perfect.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Fuck off.
This is Dallas James Nelson.
Yeah. I'm Dallas James Nelson. I'm on Instagram as Dallas James Nelson. I'm on Facebook too. I have like 6,000 followers on TikTok. I'm Gay White Trash 1 on TikTok. But yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Do you know the name of the podcast?
This is 5 Degrees of Funny, right?
Welcome to 7 Degrees of Funny podcast.
7 Degrees of Funny.
And you have some shows coming up.
Yeah. Actually, tonight in Mobile, and then I have one show tomorrow that I can't say that I have it.
Okay.
I can't say that you're not. You don't tell about it.
Don't tell nobody about it.
Yeah, don't tell Pensacola.
About that show.
Yeah, don't tell Pensacola about June 29th. Don't tell Pensacola about a show that I might be on June 29th.